Hey everybody, we have a question from the JEE prep book, aka the black book. And this is an open-ended question. We're given this expression that contains B and C unknown parameters, and we're supposed to know how are B and C related. What does that really mean? Often you can relate, this kind of question means you can relate the variables by an inequality and equality. Let's see where this leads us. We know that f of x has a range in between these two values. That is, you can rewrite this as 0 would be less than or equal to f of x strictly less than pi over 2. And you guys are familiar with trig, understand where all this is probably coming from already. Now, so we know that about f of x. That's what it means for the range, okay? That's the range statement in terse mathematics, right? The range of this function, f of x, is trapped between 0 and pi over 2, okay? Now, arctangent has a inverse on that interval. You guys, if you remember what arctangent looks like, or if you remember what the tangent function looks like, let me just draw a quick picture of that. Okay, notice it does have a vertical asymptote at x equals pi over 2. Okay, and so the arctangent function looks like, or excuse me, the tangent function, excuse me. This is the tangent function that gets closer and closer. I didn't do very good there. Let me erase that. Okay, this tangent function, this is the graph of tangent, and it gets asymptotically close to this line x is equal to pi over 2. And again, this is the graph of y equals tangent x. It's kind of like the cubing function, except it's trapped between the vertical asymptotes. So this is y is equal to tangent x. And again, y'all, the graph gets closer and closer to this line x equals pi over 2, but it never touches it, okay? So it's always, tangent's always positive is what we can conclude from that. Now, but let's rewrite this in a fashion, tangent of, and I'll just write 10 paren f of x okay, taking the inverse tangent function of arctangent, we end up with this statement right here. Now remember, we're supposed to graph or find the relationship between B and C, okay? Find the relationship between B and C. Now we know from all this information that's given to us that this has to be greater than or equal to 0, right? Okay, tangent of a positive number returns a positive number, right? And that it's between 0 and pi over 2. So this is assured. We have the fact that this quadratic expression is greater than or equal to 0. Now what does that mean? Okay, it means that it's just some sort of parabola located somewhere. We can put it on the right-hand side without loss of generality, but it would be a parabola maybe that looks like this. That is, it touches the x-axis at some point. It says greater than or equal to 0, right? That's the graph of this function located somewhere, right? It could be located on the negative side or the positive side. Okay, but it does have, it touches at a single point. Okay, it can't touch more than one point because of the nature of the graph, right? It's greater than or equal to 0, so it can only equal 0 one time, right? But what does that mean? That means this discriminant based on these coefficients 3, b, and c, the discriminant would be b squared minus 4 times 3 times c. Okay? It means that has to be equal to 0 because that would correspond to a single solution, right? There's a single solution for this quadratic expression, right? Greater than or equal to 0 means it has exactly 1 0. Okay, and so that means the discriminant has to be equal to 0, which would correspond to 1 real 0. Okay, so again, the nature of the solution, the discriminant, if the discriminant's negative, you have imaginary solutions. If it's equal to 0, you have a single real solution. If it's greater than 0, you have two distinct real solutions, right? And so what do we end up with? We end up with b squared is equal to 12c. And that's the relationship. And again, I agree. It was a multiple choice question, I think, on the JEE preparatory materials. But we've determined the relationship. B and C are related exactly like that. And that's the solution. Let me know what you thought.